Hey guys, and welcome to Red Dog Bushcraft. Today it's time to do a little bit of maintenance. Miss Leanne's bike is needing a little bit of tender love and care, and we're going to start with that today by doing a good job of cleaning up everything. Once we get everything clean, we can see exactly what needs to be adjusted and what just needed to be cleaned. Sometimes when you're having issues with your shifting or your braking, all that could be required of you is just a fast cleaning and some additional lubrication. So we'll get to the cleaning right away, and we'll see where we stand then. Okay, let's just take a couple of minutes to look at the areas that we need to concentrate our cleaning. Now here's the rear chain ring, and you can see the grime build up in that. Some of that's dirt and sand. The same thing here in the rear derailleur. And all the way along the chain we can see a grime build up. And then look here at the front derailleur and down at the frame where all of that paraffin has built up with the dirt and the grime. All of that's going to affect our performance, along with right here at the braking assembly. A little bit of dirt and a little bit of grime in these connection points and along these cables will make a big difference in how the bicycle performs. And while we're at it, we want to take a look at our other componentry too, such as our tires. And if you look real good, right up in here, you can start to see how these tires are starting to dry rot and they're cracking. We're going to go ahead and take care of that while we're doing some maintenance issues also. Get this bike all ready to go for our next trip. So we have our bike all set up in our bike stand, elevated at a comfortable working height. And you don't have to have this. You can simply tie a piece of rope around the seat tube or up here at the saddle and up at the handlebars and raise this up by some means, or you can just support it by the kickstand. Have somebody help you out holding it if you're in the position where you can do that. But this makes the job a lot easier. And you might be surprised, what we're going to use as a degreaser is just something that's over the counter. I like this Grease Lightning. It works real well, and as long as you get it off of the bike, you rinse it real well. I haven't had any issues with it damaging the finish at all. And as a soap to wash everything up, I'm going to use this Ice car wash soap. It has a little bit of a wax in it, and that helps protect the finish. And I find that this does a real good job of washing this off with copious amounts of water, and it'll keep any spotting and give our bike a nice finish. So we're going to go ahead and get our water set up and go ahead and start to clean up. The only other thing that I'm going to use just a good terry cloth towel. That's probably the most important part of the whole washing system, is being able to get into these small nooks and crannies. The other thing that comes in real handy is just a standard bottle washing brush. That lets you get into some of these areas and around the brakes here and get down there and really scrub those well. And then a good stiff brush that you can scrub on the chain. And they make specialized brushes for this, and I have one to do the chain and back here in the chain rings. But any good quality brush with at least a 1-inch bristle seems to work pretty well. So let's go ahead and get started. If you didn't notice, I'm wearing an apron, and that's just to help me because this is a greasy job. It helps keep your clothes a little bit nicer. And I've already got my bucket filled with my soapy water, and I like to have that sitting there and my hose ready before I start spraying any of this degreaser. And then I'm going to concentrate on the areas where I have the most buildup. So that's going to be right back here on this main chain ring. And let me see, get this kickstand up and out of the way so that that'll spin freely. And we're going to get that coated good, then we'll shift the chain so that we can get it off of that cog. And I'm going to go ahead and take my brushes and start scrubbing this area along with the front. And I'll just go piece by piece, scrubbing the degreaser off, washing it off really well, then going to my next component, really using my degreaser just at a section of the bike at a time, starting at the bottom and working my way to the top. And then as we wash the bike with the car soap, we'll start from the top and wash down and rinse it in that fashion. And I'll bring you back and show you a couple of shots as we go along. Alright, here's a little bike shop tip for you. Back here in this rear cassette, these blue paper towels, and the blue really do work a lot better than just your standard paper towel. These shop towels are a little bit tougher. And to get in that rear chain ring, after you've used your degreaser, I just got any thin piece of metal. This happens to be a hacksaw blade. A metal ruler really works well. But you just take your thin piece of metal and wrap that paper towel around it a couple of times, and then come in between the cogs in the back and let that turn and kind of move that through. Pull it tight, shove it in there. You want it tight, but not so tight that it rips it, but enough that it feeds that piece of metal through. If it starts to get caught, just back it up a little bit. And what you want to do is you can get in there and you get a lot of that grease out that way. And I'll show you how to clean the remainder of it without having to take this apart or take it off of the bike. Let me get that part done and I'll be right back. Okay, so after thoroughly cleaning everything I can with the degreaser, now I come back and I spray one more coat of degreaser all over everything, and I come back with a clean rag and start just washing the bike, just like you would your car or motorcycle or anything else. Just really trying to get in all the nooks and crannies and get everything clean. Now let me answer a question that I know is going to be posed, and that's what about a power washer? And I know some of your major bike shops use a power washer, especially on some pretty technical off-road trails. And you can do that. But you have to be skilled at what you're doing and where you're spraying your stream, and the capabilities and limitations of your power washer, and there's a lot into it, because you don't want to be blasting high pressure water into certain areas of the bike that could wind up damaging it. So if you know what you're doing, fine. Leave that to those professionals, is my opinion on that. And stick to just putting in a little bit of elbow grease and good washing by hand. Get everything that you can, the best that you can. Now we're not going to disassemble this bike, and you could really clean it better if we went with a total disassembly. But we're not at the point that we need to do that right now. When I was racing and doing, you know, centuries and all of that type of stuff, and really concerned about my speeds, I would certainly do that. I would tear the bike down and lube and clean everything. But for what we're doing right now, just to get the bike back in shape and to get everything adjusted and get it ready to go out and ride on a rail trail, this is going to be sufficient, because the bike is not that nasty. It's just got a lot of dirt on it that's coming off with just standard washing. So let me finish washing it all off, and then we'll talk about drying some of these components and how we're going to start lubricating this bike back up. Okay, I took the leaf blower and blew the bike down and got a lot of the water off, but not absolutely dry. And then I'm going to take this, just plain old WD-40, and I'm going to spray each component, like the brakes, and I'm going to hold my hand behind it and try to concentrate the spray on the moving components. And I'm not worried about a little bit of overspray. I'm just letting it run down on there, and I'm spraying all of these major areas and trying to coat everything as good as I can. And I know what you're going to say. Some of you love WD-40 and some of you don't. But this is not as much of what's going to be used as our lubricant as it is what we're going to use to help dry off this bike. Oil and water don't mix. WD-40 does a great job of forcing the water out, and it dries pretty quick. It evaporates out, so it's not going to leave much of a lubricant base, but it is an awesome cleaner. So I'm going to do that on all of my chain rings, all of my moving components, all of my brakes, everything on the bike. And don't forget about this right here. This is the seat tube, where the seat goes in and out of the frame of the bike. Make sure you take that out, wipe every bit of grease off, take that rag that has that WD-40 on it, and wipe all of that off that you can, and make sure you lubricate all of these wedge type support systems, and we'll get back to putting some grease in that a little bit later on. But the next step is the WD-40 everything that moves. Alright guys, so that pretty much wraps up our cleaning. The last step is to go ahead, and I like to use this, or believe it or not, just Pledge furniture polish. And I spray a light coat and use a nice fresh clean terry cloth rag and wipe that into the point that it's dry. And I do that all over the frame. That'll give you a nice durable finish and help protect your bike. We'll get into some lubrication and some other maintenance and other videos, so stay with me in this series. I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope you are enjoying it as we go along. I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. Until next time, God bless.